I like to just let young E know that what I went through wasn't in vain. To remind myself, if God has brought me through the many situations that I've been through, surely He will bring me through this. If God has seen me through and I'm on the other side of those things, then surely He's not done with me yet. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and this is the Love Project, where we discuss all things love: the love of God, the love in family dynamics, the love in relationship, the love in marriages, sisterhood, and all things in between. If you are new here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and ring that bell. And for those that are already a part of the Love Squad, thank you for coming back and see us. So excited for what we have in store today. Today I really just want to talk about who I do it for, right? So, we gonna go ahead and get started because we gonna jump right in, get straight to it, and touch on who I do it for. So this video is to inspire you to take the time and to realize the why of who you do what you do for and what it is you're trying to accomplish in this life, right? So first things first, I always like to say that I do it for my inner child. I do it for young E. I do it for E who have survived, E who have been steadfast, E who have pushed through the toughest seasons, the toughest times, who has um, overcome situations, circumstances, obstacles in her life. I do it for the inner child in me. Um, and I hope that you all do the same for that inner child in you because it's so necessary to not only think about where we are or think about where we're going, but really, really thinking about where we come from. At the end of the day, we all have a past, right? We all have things that we've been through, we all have trauma, and we all see through a certain type of lens. And that lens is usually your experience, right? What you've been through in life, the different things that you've experienced throughout life, and that perception can definitely alter the way you view things, why you are the way you are, and even your expectation for what's to come. Because a lot of times we reflect on the things that we've been through and assume that the outcome is going to always be the same based on the experience that we had. And so I I like to look back on my life, and I like to just acknowledge those characteristics, um, those traits, and those gifts that God has given me to equip me for life, right? The different things that I've been through, the different things I've seen, the different things I've experienced, and how I was able to overcome um, even as a young child. So there are things that I have to ask myself, like, what would I say to young E? What would I say to that little girl, right? And those are the things I use for affirmations, to affirm myself, right? I'm a grown woman now. I've seen myself come so far, but a lot of times I use those things that I feel like that little girl needed to affirm myself. Whether it's telling myself how beautiful I am, telling myself how smart I am, telling myself how wise I am, and just again reflecting on those gifts and talents. Like, I've always been a lover of people, I've always been open to trusting. I've never allowed my heart to get cloudy based on what I've seen, based on what I experienced, based on other people's actions. And so I use those things to affirm myself, and just encourage myself that if I got through that, surely I can get through this, because as the words say, this too shall pass. I like to just let young E know that what I went through wasn't in vain. To remind myself, if God has brought me through the many situations that I've been through, surely He will bring me through this. If God has seen me through and I'm on the other side of those things, then surely He's not done with me yet. Surely His plan is true, that is good. It's good, it's going to give me expected, and it's not evil, right? And so again, I reflect and I just remind myself that there are so many times that I saw God hands on my life. It's so many times that even when I didn't understand, I can pinpoint and say God was with me. I can pinpoint and say that I had an idea, I had a knowing to be hopeful, right? To use my faith to push through and so on and so forth. And I mean, I couldn't do that in my own strength. And so I often just reflect on young E, and I remind myself, this is what I do it for, to let her know that it wasn't in vain. The things you've been through, the things you've seen, the things you experienced, it hasn't gone to waste. I've learned so much, I've grown so much, um, and continue to do so. And it's all because of that version of myself. So I am very grateful, and I often reflect again on my past, and I just realized that truly God's word is true. He gives you beauty for ashes, as He promises. He gives you the oil of joy for mourning. He gives you the garment of praise for heaviness. And truly, if you are anchored, if you allow hope to be your anchor, you come out victorious. And so I do it for E. I do it for young E, who who held on and who pushed through. And I get to see this version of myself because of her. And so that's definitely something I would encourage you to think about, to reflect on, and to just give yourself some credit. Give yourself some credit for how far you have made it, and when you want to give up, when you want to believe that this time is it, that this time is the worst thing you've ever been through, that this situation is the worst thing and you can't come out of this, that no, I've done it before. God's done it before. God's kept me before. God has pushed me before. And just use that as your motivation so that you can remind yourself that, yep, this too shall pass. This shall be a thing of the past soon enough. Another reason I do what I do is for the future me. There is a image, there is a version of Erica that I desire to be. And she is everything I want to be. She is so much bigger than my reality. Um, and when I think about that version of myself, it's just, it's beautiful, it's pure. She is just prospering in every area of her life. She's bold, right? And that's in every area. She's bold in her declaration. She's bold in her walk with God. She's bold in the gifts and the calling that God has on her life. She's bold in her stance. And she is just an overcomer. She's victorious. And so a lot of times I use that as my motivation. I use that as my as the words say, reaching towards the mark of the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus. I think about who I see Erica as, this woman of God, this wife, this mother, this friend, right? This advocate for Christ, and this advocate for people. Um, and when I think about that, I'm like, I gotta meet her. Like, I gotta be her, right? So a lot of times that's what I do it for. I do it for the better version of me. that's a big conversation we have here on this platform. It's about understanding you, discovering you, and not doing it from a selfish standpoint of I mentality, but doing it from a purpose mentality, doing it from a mentality of what does God say about me? Who does God say that I am? Where does God want to take me? What is His plan? What is His purpose for my life? Doing it from that standpoint, knowing that there was, I ain't gonna say even was, there is a version of me that God created before I was even formed in my mother's womb. There was an idea of what Erica is here to do, and that's the version that I'm striving for. And so I have to realize that the decisions I make today determines my tomorrow. And so I'm very mindful of how do I get to that version, right? What do I need to do? Whether it's spending time in my word, whether it's praying, right? Whether it's loving on other people, whether it's learning about myself, whether it's kind of doing this search of Lord, creating me a clean heart, renewing me a right spirit. Lord, show me my heart and reveal me to me so that, I can know the areas that I need to work on. I can know the areas that need to be pruned, that need to be told up, and that soul that need to be kind of taken up and broken up. All those stony areas, all those areas that's not like you, right? And that's hindering me from becoming that better version of me. So that's pretty much the mindset that I be in, and just being hopeful, because whew, hope is a key. Hope is a major key to becoming that person you want to be. Hope is a major key to just being in expectation of what's next, right? Hope is a key to knowing that that thing you praying for, you gonna be walking in it. That your prayers is a prayer one day and it'll be a testimony the next. So hope is so critical, and just believing that weeping may endure for a night, but joy, hallelujah, joy comes in the morning, and hope gives you that expectation for morning. It just gives you that expectation that if I can make it through the night, right? When morning come, there's a promise with that morning, and that is joy. And I always like to say that you want to always strive for that best version of yourself, that next level of yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. And so many times we are pushing for other people, right? Being what other people want us to be, trying to be what we believe other people need from us, believing what other people say about us. And it's like, if you're not the best version of you, you're no benefit to nobody else. So you have to build yourself up so that you actually have something to give. There is actually something flowing from you so that you not on eat, right? So just thinking about where you see yourself in a couple years. And that's every level, y'all. Where you see yourself spiritually, where you see yourself financially, where you see yourself emotionally, where you see yourself relationally, where you see yourself socially. I had a friend reach out to me, and I believe she moved to a new area, and she reached out and she was like, how did you make new friends? I've been in Virginia, Virginia Beach, going on 3 years now, and I got me a couple friends, you know, and she was like, "How did you make new friends?" And I pretty much told them like, "This might sound crazy, but I prayed about it." And sometimes people feel like you be being too deep, but the Bible said, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path." I believe the word. It said, "In all my ways acknowledge Him." So when I was getting ready to move, I prayed about new friends. I prayed that the Lord would connect me to good people. I prayed that I will make new friends, And the Bible also tells us that if you want to make friends, you have to be friendly. It's the word. And so I told her, I was like, I prayed about it. And I'm friendly. I go places, I talk to people, I don't mind talking to people. Sometimes I have to insert myself in people conversations. Sometimes I have to start the conversation. I always say a good way to interact with people is if you see something that you have in common. I see a woman with natural hair, instant conversation. Oh girl, I love your hair. What you do to it? What type of product you use? How long you been natural? That's always a kickstarter. Of course, a compliment. If you see somebody with some nice shoes, whatever, you compliment them, and that usually can start a conversation. Traveling is always a good conversation. Food is always a good conversation. Different things. So I just kind of gave her some tips on how to pursue new relationships in the new area that she's in. But the thing is, you can't get what you don't have. So even then, I was thinking about this version of myself, right? The version of Erica when she's in another state, how she gonna make friends, how she gonna thrive, and so on and so forth. So there's always something that you should keep before you that you want to strive for. So I'm always doing it for that better version of me, and I want each of you to think about that and don't just let life you. Don't just let life pass you by. Like, be intentional on where you see yourself, how you want your life to go, and again, the things you praying about, knowing that soon enough you're gonna be walking in that answer prayer, and you have to plan now what you want that to look like. So, do it for the old you. Do it for the coming you, the better version of you, and of course I do it for those that's not willing to do it for themselves, or maybe even those that can't do it for themselves. I think one of the biggest things is understanding that your story is just not about you. I always say that God is the perfect orchestrator, right? He is able to dot every I, cross every T. He don't miss nothing. Nothing catches him by surprise, and nothing is done without his knowledge, right? Without his agreement, without his okaying it. So the way he has made our life is so that all of our lives intertwine in some way. So there are people that's watching, there are people that's gleaning, there's people that's inspired, there's people that's even hating, right? But they are still aware of you and they see you. And so a lot of times I use that as inspiration to do what I do, because a lot of what we go through is not just for us. I've seen so many people that told me, just based on my life situation, like, Erica, I saw how you came out of that grief. I saw how you was joyous in a very sad situation. I saw how you loved despite of the pain, and that motivated me. I saw your relationship with God when that situation could have totally pulled you away from God, could have made you mad at God, could have made you turn your back on God. But I saw you walk out your faith, and that made me grow in my relationship. I have people just in general that, again, the lifestyle I used to live, they're like, Erica, I saw you change. Like, I saw you come out the club. I saw you come out of drinking. I saw you come out of fornication. I saw you come out of those lifestyles and really walk the walk and talk the talk when it came to your faith. And I'm like, Lord, if you could do it for Erica, surely you can do it for me. And so there are people that's watching. And sometimes you should be willing to take up your cross and walk, even if it's for them. And it's very important to do so, because that's what a disciple is. Jesus literally did what he did, not for him. He did it for us. He did it for you. He did it for me. He committed no sins. There was no reason for himself that he needed to come to earth, leave his throne, come to regular old earth, live in a regular old flesh with people who hate him, with people who don't like him, with people who stabbed him in his back, with people who loved him one day, hated the next, with people who talked behind his back, betrayed him, you name it, right? Literally spit in his face. Like, it was no reason for him to have to do that for himself. He did it for us. So we, as walking epistles, us as living disciples, sometimes we have to go through seasons for other people. Sometimes we have to be the example that there is another side of this. There is light on the other side of this. There is victory on the other side of this. The Bible tells us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So because Jesus did it for us, the blood covers and helps us and gives us grace, right? But then there's the testimony. There's the part of when you see somebody struggling, you say, I see you, but I'm telling you, God can bring you out of that thing. Why? Because he did it for me. This was my situation. This was my circumstances. This is what I did. I trusted God. I believed. I cried out. I cast my cares on God and I gave it to him. And this is what he did for me. This is where I was and this is where I am now. This is who I used to be and this is who I am now. And so when you testify of God's goodness, it makes room for God to show up on other people's behalf. And the thing is, a lot of times when we're going through, that isolation is what get us, because the enemy has a way of making us believe that it's just us. I'm the only one going through this. I'm the only one that's ever been through this. I'm the only one. So I'm not gonna tell nobody because this is embarrassing, or this is a shame, or I should have knew better, or why I did that. I'm so stupid, and all of these things the enemy is planting in your head, and he isolates you more and more and more. And then you realize when you hear somebody else's story, wow, so she went through this too. He went through this too. It's not just me. No, the enemy wants you to think it's just you. It's not just you. But people won't know that unless you testify. People won't know that unless you display victory, unless you display what faith looks like, unless you display what it looked like to come out on the other side. So it's important to, not just go through and not just come out for you, but sometimes for other people. Your family, your friends, they watching. It's important for you to display just God to people and letting them know that they can beat the odds. I'm a living witness. Listen, I'm a girl that come from the projects of New Orleans. I've seen so many things. I've experienced so many things. My first life-threatening situation, I was 6 years old, and me and my mom was going to the store and walked into literal gunfire. There was people shooting behind us, there was people shooting towards us, and we were caught slap dead in the middle. I will never forget that. I literally saw fire and bullets flying past, and for the grace of God, neither of us was hit. We were safe. We was able to run to somebody's house. They let us in. I mean, it was just crazy. But if it was up to the enemy, he would have took me out a long time ago. So guess what? I know that I am here for a reason. So when I look at young E, I said, baby, God wasn't playing when he made you. When I look at young E, I say, you survived that, you can survive anything. I look at future E, and I say, whew, girl, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to meet you. And I look at other people and I say, it's not as bad as you think. I look at other people and I say, if God did it for me, surely he can do it for you. So this is what I do it for. I don't know your why. But if you take the time, you figure out your why, it will motivate you to keep pushing, to keep going. Surely you will survive. This too shall pass. There is beauty on the other side. And just go ahead and submit that thing to God. He got you. He got you. All right? I ain't going to keep y'all. I just wanted to drop that on in. Thank y'all for stopping by. Love you. See you next time.